I let out a deep exhale as a car rolled to a stop in front of the emergency room entrance. The large tents erected at the front of the building reminded me of a scene from a post-apocalyptic movie. It was New Year's Eve, 2020, and with the pandemic in full swing, we'd heard family might not be allowed inside with patients due to COVID-19 protocols. The thought of waiting alone in an ER with nothing more than the company of my racing thoughts sounded like a nightmare. But we knew we didn't have much of a choice. I looked over at my husband, Brian, one final time before reaching for the door. "You've got this. Everything's going to be okay," he encouraged, giving me a kiss and squeezing my hand as I reluctantly unbuckled. "And keep me updated," he reminded as I squeezed his hand back just before stepping out and gently swinging the door shut. As I made my way to the entrance, my mind raced through the worst possible scenarios of what the mass in my stomach could be. My eyes began to fill with tears. I'd felt like something was off with my body for years, but no one else seemed to agree. I was terrified of what they might find, but equally scared of leaving once again with unanswered questions from a room full of people who didn't believe me. As I approached the tent, a nurse in full personal protective equipment, PPE, greeted me. As she asked what I had arrived for, I instantly froze, unsure of what to say as I retraced my steps through the downward spiral that had led me here. One that can be visibly tracked through my internet browsing history in the days leading up to my arrival. A broad search for abdominal mass would eventually turn into symptoms of liver tumors, and hours later I found myself in bed watching a YouTube video over my shoulder while trying to self-examine and palpate my abdomen for an enlarged liver. I knocked my phone from the nightstand again and again while I poked and prodded at my stomach with each new set of instructions. I was deep down the rabbit hole, and there was no turning back. I lost myself for hours, spiraling through the worst possible scenarios before calling it a night with one last search for the evening for soothing meditation music, a clear attempt to purge the panic I'd brought upon myself, a process I'd start all over again the next day. The following morning, I woke and slid my hand over the upper part of my stomach, where I'd felt the firmness beneath my ribs the night before. I couldn't feel it now. I thought, is this all in my head? Continuing the search, I rolled to my left side and pressed in. Nothing. Then to the right. I felt a fullness and discomfort, but still no hardness or mass. I got out of bed and made my way to the bathroom, poking at and feeling around my stomach with one hand while I brushed my teeth with the other. As soon as I caught the edge of it again, I paused, held perfectly still, and quickly called Brian over to take a look before I lost it again. "That lump in my stomach is there again. Can you feel it?" I asked as I reached for his hand. "Feel what?" he replied, confused. "That hardness under my ribs. It's right here. Look, feel." I pulled him over and guided his hand to where mine was. "Okay. What exactly am I supposed to be feeling?" he asked, the skepticism clear in his voice. "I don't know. It's hard, like harder than the other side, and the edge is kind of round. Can't you feel it?" I insisted.